Good evening, guys. Discussion A tonight deals with end of life or near death experiences. For discussion A, explanation of near death experiences. So, please join me for today's discussion A. Give me a minute to set up for the show, please, and we will get going. Be right with you. Okay. Title: woman clinically dead for 27 minutes scribbles down 2 words after waking. Now she experiences a near death experience, so we're going to go through her explanation of what she had. So please join me in today's discussion A. Okay, here we go. Incident in medical emergency. In 2018, Tina Hines from Arizona collapsed due to a near fatal heart attack while hiking with her husband. She was clinically dead for 27 minutes, flatlining multiple times before being revived and stabilized. Her message after revival: upon regaining consciousness, Tina scribbled the words, "It's real," and pointed upward. She later described vivid, peaceful visions during her clinical death, including, give me 1 second, guys. Vibrant colors and a figure she believes was Jesus. Her experience: Tina recounted feeling unbelievable rest and peacefulness. She shared her story in interviews, emphasizing the clarity and emotional depth of what she saw. Would you like to explore how near-death experiences like Tina's are interpreted in neuroscience or spiritual frameworks? Neuroscience offers several compelling frameworks to explain near-death experiences, or NDEs, blending insights from brain biology, psychology, and consciousness studies. Here is a synthesis of current findings. Okay. Next page, folks. Give me 2 seconds, please. All right. Key neuroscientific explanations: altered brain activity during trauma. Studies show surges in gamma wave activity linked to consciousness and vivid experiences in dying brains, particularly in regions associated with dreaming and perception. This suggests that even as the brain shuts down, it may produce intense dream-like states resembling NDEs. Okay, 2, disruption of sensory and spiritual processing or spatial processing. NDEs often involve out-of-body experiences, tunnels, and bright lights. These may stem from disruptions in brain areas responsible for body mapping. Spatial awareness and sensory integration. Similarly, uh, psychedelic states. Research comparing NDEs to experiences induced by DMT, a powerful psychotic or psychedelic, reveals overlapping themes: detachment from the body, encounters with beings, and travel through mysterious realms. However, DMT users tend to report alien like entities and geometric visuals, while NDEs more often involve deceased loved ones and life reviews. Uh, unidentif- un, un, Unidentified neuroscience model. A model from the University of Liège proposes that NDEs arise from a blend of evolutionary uh, survival mechanisms, psychological expectations, and neurobiological responses to extreme stress. This includes the brain's attempt to maintain coherence and meaning during trauma, possibly triggering vivid memories and symbolic imagery, not just about death. NDEs or NDE like experiences can also occur during fainting, drug use, or sleep paralysis, suggesting they're tied more to altered states of consciousness than to actual proximity to death. Okay. Would you like to explore these insights? Could inform care models for patients recovering from cardiac arrest or trauma. Neuroscience approaches consciousness as both a biological and phenomenon and a profound mystery. Here's a breakdown of how it's currently understood. core neuroscientific theories of consciousness. Neuro Neurocollates of consciousness, or NCC. This framework identifies specific brain regions and patterns of activity that consistently align with consciousness experience. For example, the frustiform face area activates when we see faces, while the parahippocampal place area responds to scenes like houses. NCCs describe what consciousness looks like in the brain, but don't fully explain how subjective experience arises. Global neuronal workspace theory, or GNWT, proposes that consciousness emerges when information is broadcast across multiple brain regions. It's like a mental spotlight that allows certain thoughts or perceptions to become globally accessible for decision making in memory and language. Integrated information theory suggests that or suggests consciousness is tied to the brain's ability to integrate information in a unidentified whole. The more interconnected and irreducible the system, the higher level of consciousness. Attention schema theory argues that the brain conducts a simplified model of attention and an attention schema, which gives rise to the feeling of awareness. This theory attempts to go beyond description and offers a mechanistic explanation. Consciousness and brain autonomy. The brain's 86 billion neurons from vast networks that process sensory input, emotion, and cognition. Consciousness is thought to emerge from the dynamic interactions among these networks, especially in the prefrontal cortex, thalamus, and posterior cortical hot zone. The hard problem of consciousness, coined by philosopher David uh, Chalmers. This refers to the challenge of explaining why neural activity produces subjective experience, why pain feels painful, or why red looks red. While neuroscience can describe the mechanisms it suggests, it struggles to explain the essence of experience itself. Would you like to explore how these theories might inform care models for individuals with cognitive decline or brain injury, or perhaps how they intersect with spatial or philosophical views of the self? Neuroscience links to cognitive functions by exploring how the brain structures and neural processes give rise to mental abilities like memory, attention, decision making, and creativity. Here's a structured overview. Why are what are what are cognitive functions? Cognitive functions are the mental processes that allow us to perceive and interpret sensory input, remember and receive information, focus attention, solve problems, and make decisions, communicate through language, adapt behavior based on feedback and goals. How neuroscience explains these functions. Brain regions and their roles. Brain region cognitive role, prefrontal cortex, executive functions, planning, inhibition. Okay, next page. Hippocampus, memory formation, and spatial navigation. Parietal lobe, attention and sensory integration. Temporal lobe, language and auditory processing. Occipital lobe, visual perception. Cerebellum, motor coordination and procedural learning. To neural networks and connectivity. Cognitive function. Cognitive functions arise from interconnected neural circuits, not isolated regions. Synaptic plasticity, the ability of synapses to strengthen or weaken, is key to learning and memory. Functional connectivity studies how different brain areas coordinate during tasks. Neurochemical influence. Neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine modulate attention and mood and memory. Imbalances can lead to cognitive impairments or psychiatric conditions. 4. Development and plasticity. Cognitive abilities evolve across lifespan, shaped by brain development experience and environmental factors. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to recognize after injury or adapt to new learning applications, emerging frontiers. Neuroergonomics applies cognitive neuroscience to improve human performance in complex environments. Non-invasive brain stimulation, TDCS or TMS, is being explored to enhance attention, creativity, and memory. Cognitive genomics and behavioral genetics investigate how genes influence cognitive traits. Would you like to dive into how these insights inform interventions for aging population or brain injury recovery, or explore how cognitive neuroscience intersects with AI and human machine interaction? Brain injuries, especially traumatic brain injuries or TBIs, can significantly disrupt a hold on. I will get rest. Wide range of cognitive functions. Here's a breakdown of the most commonly affected areas based on current neuroscience research. Most affected cognitive functions. Cognitive function description and impact. Attention and concentration difficulty. Focusing, sustaining attention, or multitasking, easily distracted or restless. Memory, short-term memory loss is common. Long-term memory may also be impaired. Executive function, challenges with planning, organizing, decision making, and impulse control. Processing speed, slower ability to understand, react, and respond to information. Language and communication, trouble finding words, forming coherent speech, or understanding others, reasoning and problem solving difficulty, analyzing situations, making judgments, or solving problems, self awareness and insight reduced, awareness of defects or inappropriate behavior, motivation and initiative, apathy or lack of drive to start or complete tasks. Why these functions are vulnerable. These functions rely heavily on the frontal and temporal lobes, which are often affected by TBIs. Diffuse axonal injury, a common result of trauma, disrupts communication between brain regions. Emotional distress, fatigue, and pain can further compound cognitive challenges. Would you like to explore how rehabilitation strategies tailored to these defects, or how smart environments and assistive tech can support recovery? Memory impairments is a complex phenomenon that affect various types of memory and arise from multiple causes. Here's a detailed breakdown based on the current neuroscience and clinical insights. Types of memory affected. Memory of type of memory description impact. Short-term memory, difficulty retaining recent information, forgetting a conversation minutes later. Long-term memory challenges, recalling past events, facts, or learned skills. Working memory, trouble holding and manipulating information temporarily, e.g., doing mental math. Episodic memory, impaired recall of personal experiences and life events. Somatic memory loss of factual knowledge, names of objects, historical facts. Procedural memory, difficulty with motor skills and routines, riding a bike, typing. Okay. Common causes of memory impairment, neurological and medical conditions. Traumatic brain injury, TBI, can cause both retrograde past memories and anterograde new memories. Amnesia. It's like when somebody hits their head or hits their head really very hard. People can get amnesia. TBIs are sort of like that because you have to retrain your body on how to use itself. You have to relearn how to walk and relearn how to communicate. With a TBI, that's what happens, folks. Um, it's very hard to retrain the brain. So when somebody has a stroke or a major brain episode happen, that's why it takes longer for someone to rehab from a brain injury than, let's say, from a leg injury. Leg injury maybe 6 months. Brain injury lasts maybe a year or longer to recover from, depending on the damage in the brain. Um, like people, for instance, people with different kind of strokes. Depends on what when they get to the hospital as to how severe the stroke is. Or people that have like aneurysms, for instance. Those are like little balloons that form on your blood vessels, and when you have an aneurysm go, it's like it bursts. But you don't know what side of the brain it bursts on, so it doesn't show up until you're in rehab or something, and they have to help you. They have to train. They have to reteach you how to function as a person when you have one of those. Brain injuries are hard to come back from, guys. Yeah, it depends on how severe it is. Um, and typically it depends on age of person too. And let's see, previous. It also depends on previous medical procedures, or it also depends on previous injury to the brain. Some people can have multiple aneurysms. For instance, one of my family members, she had 4 aneurysms on the brain. Then front two went, and then she went to rehab. And then when the back, when if you have aneurysms on the back of your head, depends on how quickly you get to the hospital for them to fix them. So, with that being said, I just wanted to throw that information in for everyone. So, okay, now we're going to get into motor diseases, Parkinson's and Huntington's disease. Parkinson's and Huntington's disease may impair procedural and working memory. External factors, medications, sedatives, antidepressants, and antihistamines can interfere with memory formation. Substance use, alcohol and drugs disrupt neurotransmission or neurocommunication and memory consolidation. Sleep deprivation reduces memory encoding and retrieval efficiency. Metabolic and nutritional deficiencies. Vitamin B12 deficiency affects nerve function and memory. Thyroid dysfunction can lead to slowed cognition and forgetfulness. Okay, there's other reasons why people have brain issues. Um, Psychological factors. Depression, anxiety impair attention and memory encoding. Stress and trauma can lead to dissociative amnesia or memory fragmentation. Reversible versus progressive memory loss. Type characteristics. Uh, Reversible caused by treatable conditions, e.g., vitamin deficiencies, medication side effects. Then you have progressive linked to neurodegenerative diseases, worsens over time, Alzheimer's, Huntington's disease, Parkinson's disease, things of that nature. Okay, transient temporary loss due to stress, trauma, or belief neurological events. TGA. All right. Last one for A, guys. Would you like to explore how memory friendly design or therapeutic interventions like CBT and mindfulness can support individuals with memory impairment? Okay, that is A. I'll be back on shortly with B. So I will see everybody for discussion B shortly. Give me a little bit to put that together for you, and I'll be back on with that shortly. But for now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks. Anybody have any show ideas, comments, things they want me to look into? Please leave it in the chat below for me, and I'll see what I can do about getting your information on that you asked me for. With that being said, I'll see everybody for B shortly. For now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.